This is a video to give you a tutorial on how to cut someone or a person out of a photograph intentionally when you've taken that photograph against a high contrast background. So something neutral that will make it easier for you to isolate that figure and cut them out of the image. So we're going to start over here. I'm going to click and hold on here so you can see that's the quick selection tool. And that's going to allow us, when that layer is selected, to click and drag. And you can see that it starts to select as I go around this object. And I'm going to lose a little bit of it because of the shadow that's coming off of the bill of this cap. So I'm going to hold down my Option key, which allows me to subtract this part of the selection. And I'm going to click and drag to do that. So I'll come down through there and I'll deselect that area and get as much of that image as I can. Now I can tell right here on the ear that it did not select all of that, so I'm going to Command plus to zoom up, hold down my space bar to drag over, and then hold down my Option key and click and drag with that quick selection tool so I can get that area. Hold down my space bar to drag down a little further because I know this area didn't get selected as well. And I'm just going to hold down my Option key now and select that. And I can see some pixels in this area that didn't get selected. So the easiest thing is to grab the lasso tool and then hold down the Option key, and I'm just going to draw a general shape in here to capture all of those pixels that weren't selected. All right, so now what I have selected is this outside area, and if I hit Command J to duplicate this background layer, you're going to see that it makes a copy of just the background layer, which is not what I want. So I'm going to Command Z or undo that, and I'm going to go up under here under the menu for Select and select Inverse, and so now it changes from this outer area being selected to the object itself being selected. And so now when I hit Command J, it's going to duplicate that selected part of the image. I can turn off the background and you can see that now I am isolated in this photograph. Okay, I've done some other things ahead of time that I'm going to show you. One of the things I wanted to bring in a background, so I went and found an image of the Super Bowl and I pasted it in here and scaled it up so that when I go to put these images into After Effects, they will have the same footprint of each other, and they can be brought in separately, but have the same scale. So there's my image that I brought in. I've already resized it. I'm going to drag it down here underneath that isolated image so you can see that it lives in that space. And one of the other things that I did is I blurred it a little bit so that all this high detail wasn't quite so noisy. All right, I won't go over these other elements right now. That's for a different tutorial. But I have these two things isolated. So here I'm going to turn off the Super Bowl image. I'm going to go to Save As, and I'm going to save and make sure that it is a Photoshop document. And I'll call it Portrait Cutout. And then likewise, I will turn on the Super Bowl image, turn off the image of the figure, and go Save As. And I'm going to call this Super Bowl, and this can be a JPEG because it doesn't have any transparency. All right, and that's how I captured those two images to go into my next stage of the project in After Effects. A few other real quick things. This is just a little bonus to the end of this one. There is a mole right here on my chin that's been there most of my life, and I'm going to just show you quickly how to take that out. So I'm going to grab the rubber stamp tool, and it lives right here. It's called the clone stamping tool. And as I roll out over the image, you're going to see that it's picking up image from somewhere. I don't know exactly where it's getting it from yet, but usually when you're using this, you use the Option key, and then I get that little crosshairs icon. It changes. I'm going to zoom up on this so you can see it a little better. And wherever I click with the Option key down, that's where it's going to pick up imagery from. When I let go, now as I roll over, I see what's happening. It's picking up from this underlayer. So We're going to go back up on this overlayer. I'm going to try that again. Option, click, and now it's painting with where I just clicked. And I want to set the opacity of this at about 50% so that it doesn't go too heavily all at once. So I'll try it again, option click, and then one click there. I'm going to click over in this area right here and do one click there. Come over here again, one click, one click. And I'm just going to kind of paint that in using the rubber stamping tool. It did flatten it out a little bit, but it's not too bad. I could come in with a little less aggressive brush, like a 30%, and take that out, but the eye doesn't go there any longer. Okay. All right. Next, I'm going to do a tutorial so that you can see how to place these things into After Effects.